I think there is disturbance in the voice. We are not able to hear it completely.
Good evening. I welcome you all for the webinar on VAT Amnesty Scheme. Sorry, due to technical error. Good evening. I welcome you all for the webinar on VAT Amnesty Scheme 2022 by very learned faculty, CA Deepak Thakkar from Mumbai. I welcome members from Nasik branch, Dhule branch, Sangamner and Malegaon. I welcome chief guest for today's session, Deputy Commissioner Mr. Vinod Patil sir, SGST, and faculty for today's session, CA Deepak Thakkar sir. I once again welcome Vinod Patil sir and Deepak Thakkar sir for Nasik branch. I also request members to register for one-time scheme. I once again welcome all for this webinar. Over to you, Sanjeevan.
Thank you, Sohil. Certainly, we are grateful to have such faculty.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sanjeevan ji. It's my proud privilege. It's my proud privilege to welcome Vinod Patil sir. He had joined department in 2005 as Assistant Commissioner, got promotion as Deputy Commissioner in 2014, worked for 15 years in Mumbai, presently working as Deputy Commissioner in Nasik. Our area is from Malegaon. And with this introduction, I request Vinod Patil sir to guide all our members from department perspective on this VAT amnesty scheme. Over to you, Vinod Patil sir.
Thank you, Thakkar sir. Hello, everyone. I think I am audible clearly. Okay. So we have got a very eminent speaker today, so I need not have to speak much on the act. So Sri Deepak Thakkar sir, he is there, and all the dignitaries and office bearers of the WIRC of ICA of Dhule and Nasik branch. Firstly, I'm thankful actually to the ICA or this Nasik branch because they have invited me, and it's a time to interact with the much intellectual fraternity that we consider CA fraternity. So we will not go deep in the act as far as my point is concerned, but I will just enumerate what we department expect in this case. So it's almost now we will be completing 5 years in the GST regime, and still what we can see that core function of GST is not yet started from our side. A lot of difficulties were there, and you people have done very well, and now I think you are quite comfortable with the system, and not actually smoothly, but much of the things are quite easier and everything is going on its way. But on our part, we have been burden of the legacy work, legacy of the VAT work, especially the recovery. And so to cope up with it, our department has taken one decision, and in the August itself, we have finished all the assessments, barring few due to some technical reasons or whatever it is. But right now, assessment part is almost over up to VAT era. That's it, 30 June 2017. But whatever pending is the recovery matters. Now see, we have gone through such a pandemic for the last 2 years, and to move to the new regime, Maharashtra legislature has taken a very bold step. It has passed the act Act by the name Maharashtra Settlement of Arrears of Tax, Interest, Penalty or Late Fee Act 2022. Now, when we will go through this seminar and we will see the details, you will come to know that it has been made very simple and it has been made beneficial to all the it may be the taxpayer, it may be the consultant, or even for the officer. It has been made such that all things will flow smoothly. Now, right from the beginning, we are seeing that particularly the CA fraternity has taken a lot of efforts to run the system in its place. Initially, we were struggling with the GST, even with the SAP, even with the Mahavikas, but you people has did it, and we are receiving a lot of compliances in minutes. Now, we are not, what we are expecting is something more than your complianceness or your sincereness or your efforts. What I want to trace is the trust which dealer is having on their chartered practitioners. I request all of you to utilize that trust, not actually utilize, but to use that trust, and let us get rid of all these recovery matters. It will be beneficial for everybody, because I am of the belief that no person wants to be the government used to be hanging on his head also. But sometimes what happens, he may not be that much convinced to pay at that time. But at the end of the day, if you study the scheme, you will find that it is much beneficial for the dealer. So along with your efforts for immediate filing, for compliance, to get the order done, if there is any rectification that to be done, I request once again to use the trust which dealer places on you to convince him so that he can go for the settlement of arrears. With such a good speaker on hold, I will not take much of the time, and I will request this all the participants to participate it actively and raise your queries maybe through chat box, or as the speaker will tell whether that should be taken at the last or what. Whatever the queries that will come up to me after filter from the Thakkar sir, I will try to answer it. If suppose there are some queries which I require the instructions from the head office, then we will mark to them. We have already in receipt of the FAQs for the filing of the application. For legal issues, currently we don't find there won't be any issue. But if it is there, please, we have one committee has been formed at Nasik office. I am heading the committee. So you can definitely come to me and bring it to notice of myself. We will send it to the head office and we will get it clarification. And if it's possible for me to answer it, I will answer it. So thank you once again, and enjoy this session.
Thank you very much. Hope that most of the queries will be solved today. Now I request our branch vice chairman to introduce today's speaker, CA Deepak Thakkar, sir.
Good evening and welcome all. Today we have a very eminent speaker, CA Deepak Thakkar sir, with us. Sir has practicing since 1984 in the name of Deepak S. Thakkar and Associates. Sir has rendering range of services in the field of indirect taxes, assurance and transaction risk advisory. Sir has co-authored publications like e-commerce transaction under GST published by WRC ICI in 2021, Guide to GST Annual Return and GST Audit published by WRC ICI in 2020, Guide to VAT Audit published by WRC ICI in 2006, 2009 and 2014, Study Material on VAT Laws in Maharashtra for Beginners published by STPAM, short publication on various subjects of VAT, CST, etc. Sir has presented paper on taxation of intangible property rights in 1999 and 2004, impact of GST amendments in 2003, written articles on various subjects in GST Review, CTC, BCA Journal. Sir has also delivered lecture, webinars and presentation on various subjects at WRC of ICI, Bombay Chartered Accountant Society, Chamber of Tax Consultants, GST Practitioners Association, All India Federation of Tax Practitioners. And sir is also visiting faculty at GST Department of Maharashtra State, the Revenue Audit Department of Central Government, and Government Law College, Mumbai. With this brief introduction, I request sir to take the charge of this session. Thank you and welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I'm very happy that both these branches of our WRC has organized this talk on the current very important subject of amnesty scheme. Also, I'm very much happy to see Shri Vinod Patil sir here, and the way he has said about the positiveness of the scheme, as well as to take care of any issue which arises. I am also very happy to hear from him. I thank you for inviting me on this occasion to discuss this scheme and my views on certain aspects. Let me now share my screen and take you through my presentation. This presentation I have already shared with the branch, and they will be definitely circulating amongst you. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Is this clear and visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. And am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No
Okay,
problem.
fine, fine. Now let me take you through the scheme, and I may refer this scheme in in many ways. I can say Maharashtra Tax Settlement Scheme, or I may say amnesty scheme also. So this particular scheme, which is presented, the primary objective, as mentioned by Patil sir, is to unlock the huge areas of the dues. So we are aware that many litigations might be pending, and the interest meter is on of the assessing, and to reduce the tax burden, to reduce the interest burden, and have some settlement. When the government has come out with such a wonderful scheme, I feel the assessee also should take benefit of the same. So by that, there will be unlocking of the huge areas so far as the government is concerned, and so far as the assessee is concerned, he will be getting rid of the old pending dues when in GST regime we all are moving and have already now seen 5 years of this. The relief measure, one can say that in the form from the COVID pandemic, what we have seen. So this is also a welcome move from the government, and I'm also very happy about it. So this particular amnesty scheme, in short, what we call the act is called as Act of 29 of 22, and Maharashtra Settlement of Areas of Tax, Interest, Penalty or Late Fee Act 2022. So this particular act envisages to settle the areas of tax, interest, penalty and late fee, everything. The notification is also issued. The instructions are also issued by the commissioner. User manual is also uploaded on the website, that how the filing is to happen on for the scheme to take the benefit. FAQs have also been issued, and finally the duration of the scheme is April to September 22, meaning thereby if somebody wants to take the benefit of this scheme, he has to make certain payment, as we arrive at, we'll see some examples, and that amount has to be paid between this period, April 22 to September 22, to get benefit of the scheme. Trade circular also is awaited because many certain clarifications are yet needed, and some representations have already been filed. Some representations are in pipeline from various bodies of the trade industry and professionals. So I feel the commissioner will come out with trade circular, which you will have to look into it. Now, I'll be dealing with right now in the next 1.5 hours. I'll keep last 15-20 minutes for the question and answers, wherein me and Patil sir both will answer the issues which are not spoken by me on this particular talk. So right now, if you have any question, you can please park it. And if you may get some answer in my slides when I run through, and I'll be dealing with the important terms or definitions which we have to consider for the amnesty, who is eligible for the settlement, how we will have to determine the arrears. So somebody has the pending dues, the orders are there, certain liabilities are there, and arrears are there. So whatever payments made, how taken care of under the scheme, how I have to arrive at the requisite amount which I'll have to pay to get the benefit of the scheme, and what waiver of the amount will be there based on the scheme which we will be considering. So that is the benefit to the assessee. So we will see that how the payment is to be made, what are the conditions, how the application is to be moved to the department, then the case studies. I've taken 4 case studies, 3-4 case studies, which I'll be dealing with. Then I'll be also touching upon very shortly the application procedure and all that, how the verification will be done by the authority once you file an application. They will be issuing the defect notice, how the applicant has to comply with the scheme, how the orders will be passed, whether there is any possibility of proportionate benefit if a short payment is there of the requisite sum, that is also there, which we'll be discussing. If any error is there, rectification powers are there under the scheme, review powers are there under the scheme, then appeals are also there, and revocation power is also there. We'll see in short what it means for that. I'll also be dealing with certain important issues which I have thought that needs some attention even by the authorities to get clarity on some important issues. So let me now take you through the scheme at glance. So first we'll see at glance, and then we'll deep dive into various aspects of the scheme. So what is the applicability of the scheme? So there we see that the applicability is for the areas of tax, interest, penalty, or late fee. So almost everything is covered under the law by way of statutory order. So you may have a dues or areas by way of a statutory order, which can be an assessment order, which can be an appeal order, and so on. Then there can be the admitted dues in the returns. A person has filed the returns, but unfortunately, because of some financial crunch at his side, he is unable to pay. So he's accepted the liability, but the payment is yet pending, and the department has to chase for this recovery. This is also covered in this particular scheme. Then auditor's recommendation. We are very well aware that under the VAT law, there was an audit by the chartered accountant, and the audit reports were filed online. So the department also has the data and record, and the auditor has given some observations that in particular case, there is some excess claim of refund, there is excess claim of set off or ITC, what we call, or there is some liability. Even the auditors might have recommended that you claim certain refund, extra set off, and by virtue of which the benefit is also there to the auditee. In such a case where there is a positive report, where the assessee has to claim back something from the department, he has not to come under the scheme. He will pursue his own refund applications, or if he is in appeal, in so far. But if there are dues as per the recommendation of the auditor, definitely this is also covered for settlement. Now here one aspect was there in the earlier scheme of 2019. Some notice was issued, proceeding was pending. Even such cases were covered, but in this scheme of 22, this is not there. One more thing, self-determination is also not there. Maybe some aspect is there which we'll touch upon, but fully and completely self-determination is also not there. So primarily, statutory order dues, return dues, and dues as per the recommendation of the VAT auditor is covered by this scheme. One can go for the benefit. Now, having known that yes, dues can be there, then this dues can be divided into two types: undisputed dues and disputed dues. That means the tax dues which are undisputed, both sides, the assessee as well as the authority, both accept that yes, this is the liability, and the disputed is the auditor has said you pay, but the assessee has disputed. The officer has said that you pay, but then in assessment, the assessee has disputed that no, sir, I am not liable, and I'll file an appeal, or in appeal, some issues are pending. So these are all the disputed tax. The treatment given under the amnesty scheme is different for undisputed and disputed. So let us see what is it. Undisputed tax, for which there is no dispute even from the assessee, cannot be settled under the scheme. Meaning thereby, the taxpayer will have to pay 100% of such amount if he wants to take benefit of the scheme. Okay, then what is the benefit to this such a person? So whatever interest and penalty is there, even on such admission of the tax liability for the interest and penalty, he can definitely go for settlement by paying some sum and getting the benefit of the rest of the amount, which will be waived. Coming to the disputed tax can be settled subject to payment of the requisite sum. And this particular requisite sum, how to calculate and all that, how much to pay, how much to be waived, we will just see in a shorter time. So then we see that what is the requisite sum which I'll have to pay, so that the balance sum I'll be getting benefit of that, which will be waived by the government, and there will be no liability in future for the same. So for this, let me tell you here, I have in my every slide, I have mentioned the reference of the sections or some FAQ or some aspect of the act. So their reference of section is there. I'll not be speaking here, but it is already mentioned for your notes. So that means arriving of the requisite sum to be paid, so that I get the benefit of the waiver of the balance sum, which we will be working out. The important benefit which we have found in this scheme, which was not there in earlier scheme, is installment facility. I know that say if there is a tax dues in an order, or say returns or so, of say 10, 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, one can make one-time payment and settle this dues. But if say there are huge areas of say 50 crores, 100 crores, one cannot be expected to have so much liquidity. So he'll have to arrange the funds. So good that the government has given the time limit. 6 months of April to September is equally a good time limit, yet realizing that if there are some more areas, the installment benefit is also there, that yes, you pay somewhat in up to September 22, somewhat even after September 22, but you apply for the scheme. So this is one way good. We will look into this in detail in the subsequent slides. So meaning thereby, conditions are also there, and these conditions for settlement are given in section 11, and section 12 speaks about the process and procedure for application for the settlement. So let us go ahead. So this is a broad scheme And now let us look into each aspect minutely. Well, so let us first think that which acts are covered, under which laws I am eligible for taking benefit of the scheme. So the law, this particular Amnesty Scheme Act 22 says Maharashtra VAT Act is covered. So any liability pending under the MVAT Act is covered. CST Act is covered. So any pending dues for the central sales tax liability is covered. Then Bombay sales tax liability is covered, which is the erstwhile earlier law prior to 2005. Then works contract tax liability is also covered, which were there up to 2005. Then the lease sales tax liability, which was there prior to bringing in the MVAT Act, is also covered. Then the entry tax, which was there for the motor vehicles, and entry tax for the other goods were there, certain notified goods, is also covered. Then luxury tax, the hotels were paying luxury tax, and that is also covered. They can take benefit of this. Profession Tax Act liability is also covered under this scheme. Purchase tax on sugar cane, which the sugar industry has to pay, is also covered. Then motor spirit taxation liability is also covered. So in all, there are 11 laws which are covered under the amnesty scheme to take benefit of. So what is covered? You have to arrive at the what is the amount of areas of tax. It may so happen that some dues as per the order or some is there, say, of 100 rupees. But somebody might have paid 10, 20 rupees. Now in 80 rupees is balance. So we'll have to work out what is the outstanding sum, what is the area as per the scheme which is eligible for the benefit. Then what is the areas of interest, penalty, late fees, we will see. All this liability which is there for periods under all these laws prior to July 17 is only covered. That means GST liability is not in this coverage of the amnesty scheme. Whatever liability is there after July 17, we will have to pay for as per the GST Act. Now, let me take you through the first aspect of the scheme to understand what do you mean by arrears, right? So it is defined in section 2D, and let me take you through this. Is it, I mean, my speed is proper, or should I have any change in my speed or so?
No, sir.
Okay.
It's proper, sir.
Proper. Okay, fine. Thank you. So now let us understand the first aspect of how I will work out the arrears. Is there any difference between the dues, outstanding dues, and arrears? So let us really understand, as per the scheme, what is the meaning given of arrears, which is finally eligible for going for the amnesty. So this particular says, payable by an assessee as per any statutory order under the relevant act. We saw 11 relevant acts are covered: MVAT, CST, works contract, and Bombay sales tax, everything. So any statutory order is passed under the law and a person is in liability not paid for, is covered into this. And statutory order, we very well know, is a assessment order, maybe a rectification order, the appeal order, a revision order. Any order passed under the law is covered. Fine. Statutory order passed even up to September 22 is covered. So this is a nicety of this particular scheme, and I really appreciate the government. Earlier, what we were having the schemes that any order passed up to, say, March is covered because the scheme is from April. But good that even, say, the officer passes any statutory order under the relevant act, say under the VAT Act, the order is passed up to September 22, and I am now in liability, I can go for the scheme. So this is a very positive aspect. And this is also I've given section 6(1)(b) speaks of the same. The next is return dues admitted in the returns or revised returns filed, but tax not paid. So whatever tax I am accepting as admission in my returns originally filed, then I have revised the returns, maybe liability reduced or enhanced, everything is covered under the areas subject. So statutory dues order, return dues order. Returns and tax dues is also specified and mentioned that amount admitted but remained unpaid, either wholly or partly. So you accepted the returns liability of say 100, partially you have paid say 40, you had paid 60 is outstanding. Now you can go for 60 for the as arrears and go follow the scheme. So this particular return dues are prior to April 22, which is there. So that means the admission should be as on 1/4/22, whatever is liability. So tax dues remains unpaid is undisputed tax. This is also mentioned therein. So we will see further in depth for this. Next is the amount determined and recommended by the VAT auditor. So this is a third type of areas which is covered, that in a case I had given a VAT audit report and there is a liability. So that is also covered, that and I said that payable in the audit report filed under section 61. Now, when I have recommended to my auditee, to my client, that okay, here is liability and
May I request Nilesh sir to please? Sorry. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So under the MVAT law, when one used to file the VAT audit report, the assessee was also given a chance to file a statement of submission. And as per that statement of submission, we were saying that the assessee was saying that the tax liability recommended by the VAT auditor, am I accepting or am I not accepting? It may so happen that say 2-3 issues are raised, one issue he accepted, other 2 issues he has not accepted. He says, no, the view of the auditor is not right and his understanding and interpretation of the law is right, and he can very well contend that, no, I'm not accepting this. Let the VAT auditor has given his view. So whatever is accepted becomes the undisputed tax. And if something was not accepted, is becoming the disputed tax. There was a column for acceptance. So the recommendation column was there, and then there was a column for acceptance. So if acceptance column is 0, that means it is not accepted. It becomes the disputed tax. The last one is whatever are such areas, the above areas, 3 types: statutory order, return dues, and VAT audit report dues. Whatever these areas are there, plus interest payable on admitted tax. So whatever tax you have admitted, whatever interest is payable, and interest is payable up to the date of payment, which we very well know. There is no upper limit that you have to pay interest only up to particular period. It is up to the date of payment, and the interest rates are also, first month it was 1.25%, the next 2 months is 1.5%, and more than 3 months liability, the interest burden is of 2% per month till the date of payment. So even admitted tax, work out the interest, and that interest becomes area eligible for the benefit of the scheme. How much to pay? We will see that. As I mentioned earlier, the notice issued and self-determination, which was there in earlier scheme, has gone, so I've just scored it off, just for your knowledge and reference. Now let me take you through that there were some dues and outstanding, and some payment was made by the assessee. Maybe after raising of issue of the notice by the department, or maybe prior to issue of notice and no notice is issued, but the assessee on his own made some payment. He knew that this is my 100 rupees liability of tax, interest, penalty, and so on. So on his own, he has started making the payment as per his financial possibility. So there is some payment made, and of this payment made prior to March 22, the scheme is from 1st April 22. So whatever payments made for those periods for which there is an outstanding, and this particular payment made, how it will be adjusted. For this, section 6 speaks for this. Under the respective law, there may be a different provision, but now you have to ignore that and apply Section 6 of this Amnesty Scheme Act 2022. So what it says, any payment made in respect of any statutory order, either in appeal or otherwise. So may be possible that against statutory order, you have filed appeal and you made some part payment as per the appellate officer or as per the provisions of the law. Or you may not have filed appeal, on your own you have paid something. So any payment made up to March 22, you have to go by this provision. And what it says it shall first be adjusted towards undisputed tax, then disputed tax, thereafter towards interest, and balance, if any, towards the penalty and late fee sequentially. Please note this. Irrespective of the provision of the law, because Section 40 of VAT Act says in exactly a reverse order. So we have to ignore that, and we have to apply Section 6. Any payment made is to be treated as first to adjust against undisputed, then disputed, and interest, penalty, and so on. A very good provision in this way. After adjustment as stated above, the outstanding arrears as on 1 April 22 shall be considered for settlement under the scheme. Fine. So now you come to know that these were the dues, arrived the arrears also adjusted, some payment made. Now you have final outstanding arrears as on April 22, which is now to be considered for the settlement. The above sequence of adjustment is also to be followed mutatis mutandis for the return dues as well as the audit report recommended dues. So this is also very clear provision that the above provision is equally applicable for return dues as well as audit recommended dues, which is also a welcome provision in the Amnesty Scheme Act. Any payment made till March 22 shall not be considered as payment of requisite sum. However, it shall be adjusted as above. That means if somebody had, the scheme was almost known, say prior to in the last week of March 22, when the budget was pronounced by the finance minister of the Maharashtra state, Honorable Ajit Pawar. But this particular payment, if somebody made in hurry, this will not be treated as requisite sum. It will be adjusted as we have seen in clause 1 of my slide. So please note this. Any payment made after April 22 only can be said as against my requisite sum. Okay. So having known that, I've arrived that this is the areas of the scheme, areas of the dues, and now this is the gross sum eligible for settlement. Now let me bifurcate these areas into undisputed, disputed, what is interest, penalty, and so on. So that then I can work out how much to pay and how much benefit I'll get. So let us first take the undisputed tax and disputed tax definition given in the scheme. Disputed tax means other than undisputed. So we have to go to undisputed tax, and it means like this. So it is a negatively worded definition. To know the disputed tax, I must first understand the term undisputed tax. And the undisputed tax provision speaks like this. The provision says this undisputed tax, that means there is no dispute for which there is no settlement possible, as we saw in earlier. So first one is taxes collected separately. That means whatever taxes are collected separately by the assessee under the relevant tax is treated as undisputed sum. No settlement is possible. Fully it will have to be paid 100%. The second one is the tax deduction claimed by the dealer in returns or any proceedings. That means if somebody took, somebody had sold the goods worth rupees 1 lakh, while paying the tax on say 1 lakh, the rate was say 12.5 or say 15%. So if he has paid on 1 lakh 15,000, that means he's paying the taxes from his own pocket. But if he worked out 1 lakh as gross sum, inclusive of the tax element, and rightly the provision under the relevant act give such deduction for the taxes. So my 1 lakh is gross. So I reverse work, multiply by 15 divided by 115. So 1 lakh I divide like say 14,000 tax, balance is the net sum, and I pay somewhat lesser amount. If I have taken some such tax deduction and claimed by me, then this tax deduction is nothing but equal to tax collection. This sum I'll have to treat it as undisputed tax and payable fully, no benefit, no relief. So it says tax deduction in returns or any proceedings. Now, the wordings of this particular provision is silent, and here the office bearers can note down some. I may speak out for some representation for at some point, and which you can make a note, and then a representation. Vinod sir is also here, and he can also be of help to us for the representation and for the clarity. So the clause says tax deduction claimed by the dealer in returns or proceedings. So even if some proceeding is there, assessment is there, some appeal is there, I have claimed, fine, it is treated as tax collection. But if I have not claimed, officer himself has granted in the order, how it is to be treated. So apparently speaking, in my view, the reading comes that if I have claimed, it is undisputed. If officer has given on his own, it is disputed sum. So, but for this, it is better to get a clarification from the commissioner, because he is the supremo under the this particular law to give any understanding and meaning of the term. The next one is the taxes shown as payable in the return or reverse return. That means I myself show that this is the tax payable in the return or the revised return. Tax is undisputed, but the interest, penalty or late fees are disputed amount eligible for settlement. So mind well, friends, the definition is given is of the term tax, undisputed tax, disputed tax. The definition is not given of the penalty or interest. So the understanding of this is the definition we are applying for the tax. So anything what I say here is for the disputed tax, benefit available, undisputed tax, pay fully, that applies only to the tax areas, not interest penalty, because that is eligible for the benefit under the scheme for lesser payment. Amount forfeited under the statutory order or excess tax collection shown in return or revised return or the VAT audit report. That means I was liable to pay the tax on a particular transaction, let's say 10%, but I collected 15%, maybe by error, through oversight or so. So whatever excess collection is there, you cannot pocket it, and you'll have to give it back to the government, and which will be used for the benefit of the consumer protection fund as provided in those laws. So any amount forfeited is also the undisputed tax. I will have to pay it fully. I cannot go for the benefit of this. VAT auditor's recommendation to pay tax as per the report and accepted by the assessee either wholly or partly. Very important. So first of all, whatever recommendation is there for tax and accepted by the assessee, that becomes undisputed. But if, as we saw earlier, if it is not accepted, accepted zero, that means entire becomes my disputed tax. Auditor might have recommended either wholly or partly. So this is also good, that suppose something I have accepted, something I have not accepted as an assessee. So whatever is accepted becomes undisputed, and whatever is not accepted becomes the disputed tax, eligible for the partial payment and partial benefit. Tax deduction at source, TDS deducted on works contract by the contractor. So under the earlier law, we had the TDS provisions for the works contract. The contractor was executing the contract, and the principal or the contractee who was awarding the contract was deducting the TDS at 2%, 4%. So whatever is the TDS deducted is nothing but undisputed. But mark the word underline TDS deducted. Suppose I had not deducted the TDS. I forgot to deduct the TDS. I paid him 100 rupees fully. I did not deduct. In such a case, undeducted TDS, but yet it is my liability, it will be treated as disputed tax, and the deducted sum becomes the undisputed. Same way, tax collection at source, there were certain provisions for under the VAT law, which says that, okay, tax collection applies. So if tax collected at source is there, it becomes undisputed, but it was not collected. Now you are asked to pay from your own pocket. In my view, it becomes the disputed sum. The next one is tax payable by the profession tax. Enrollment certificate holder, self-employed person is also eligible for the scheme. Somebody was not enrolled for, say, past some periods, he can already, but this is applicable for liability prior to March 17. So please see, I mean, also you can go through the profession tax law, and there also there was some limit that passed how many months liability. But suppose somebody was enrolled, but he did not pay tax, 2,500 rupees, what is liable for? This he can definitely take the benefit. But if he has already deducted the tax from the salaries of the employees, this becomes again the undisputed tax, and he'll have to pay it fully. If not deducted, maybe unfortunately, then it will be treated as a disputed tax from the salaries and wages. The last one is the set of restrictions under Rule 52A and 52B. These rules were giving certain set-offs, and there were certain restrictions that, okay, in the year of purchase, you will not get full set-off, you will get somewhat in the next year of the sale. So the set-off was dependent on the sale during a period, and if it was in stock, that much particular ITC covered was to be carried forward to the next year. When it is sold in next year, you claim the ITC set-off in next year. So PSI manufactured goods, mega units and so on were there. On aerated drinks, cigars and mobile, even this provision was there. So if there is a carry forward and all that, and there is some liability, it is also covered as it is treated as undisputed tax, which will be payable fully. So mind well, this is the entire almost 10 types of taxes are treated as undisputed tax, which will be payable fully, no benefit available. For the benefit, you have to then go, other than this is a disputed tax. So having bifurcated my areas into the undisputed, payable fully, I come to know now the disputed sum. Of this disputed sum, I now work out the requisite amount. That means the amount which I have to pay as per the scheme, and the amount of balance which I'll be eligible for the benefit for waiver. So let us understand exactly what is the sum now I am to pay, and what is the sum which waiver is possible. So the first one is amount payable and aggregate amount paid during the specified under section 10(2) of table clause B, which we'll be discussing. And it says like this: undisputed tax you have to pay fully. So if suppose you are in arrears of 100 rupees, of which there is undisputed, disputed and everything. So undisputed, you'll have to pay fully to get benefit. If you pay partially, you cannot get benefit. Full benefit will not be available. There is a scheme that how it will be taken care of, which we will see. So first of all, to take entire benefit, full undisputed sum, I'll have to pay fully 100%. And the disputed sum of tax, interest and penalty, whether levied or not, is payable at a specified percentage as per the annexure A and B in the table given under section 8 and section 9. Friends, for entry tax for other goods, not for motor vehicle is covered like under section 8, but for entry tax on other goods which were there on, say, air conditioners, tiles and all that, for that there is a specific way of working out the amnesty, and which we'll be discussing. So majority, let us focus on other than this entry tax for other goods, how this scheme will work. We will see that, and what annexure A and B provides for. The requisite sum shall be paid using challan prescribed under the relevant act or in form MTR 6 under the MVAT rules, as the case may be, before the date specified under the scheme. So we will see how the payments will operate, how the applications will operate and all that. So now let me take you through the particular percentage or how much is to be paid and how. So for this, there are two broad categories of periods bifurcated. The areas of the periods covered up to March 2005 is separate, and from April 5 to 2017 is separate. So let us see the annexure. First, annexure A and annexure B, right? And this section also says extent of payment of disputed, which will see an amount of waiver as per annexure. So let us see annexure A. Annexure A says arrears for the periods from 2005 to 2017. Now we all are aware that MVAT Act was implemented and introduced in April 2005. So from April 2005, when the VAT Act was there, up to June 17, before the GST regime was started. So this entire period is, I have to make the payment as per annexure A, and annexure B I have to refer when my periods of liability under the relevant tax are prior to March 2005. So they were under the Bombay Sales Tax Law or the Works Contract Law and so on. Section 10 provides that the time limit and due dates for payment of this requisite sum and how we will apply in case of one-time payment option and installment option. As I told you that one-time payment option is also there, and for some huge liability, installment option is also there, which we will see that. Now, before I go to annexure A and B, here is a beneficial provision further. Section 7 of this Act also specifies that up to 10,000 rupees dues, as per any statutory order, is there, and arrears are there of such dues as on 1/4/22 of say 10,000 rupees or lesser for a per financial year, then such amount you need not pay. It will be written off by the government. So government says, okay, petty amount for 10,000, if it is the dues, then you may be requiring to pay say 3,000, 4,000. So government says for a small person, we want to give benefit. Small liabilities, we want to give benefit. Even we do not want to burden my officers also with all the paperwork and all that. So this amount will be written off, including the post-assessment interest on it. What is the procedure? For this, we have to await for the commissioner to come out with the clarification. And there is no, apparently it seems that no application or something is needed from the taxpayer's side, but the officer may on their own be asked by the commissioner to write it off. But let us await for that. Now here I would say that let whatever is written off, let that writing of the order may be passed under this law, and a copy of this order of writing off should be given to the assessee, so that in future he is also not burdened with any demand at future time for his record also. Important distinction is here. Section 7 speaks of writing of arrears as per any statutory order, meaning thereby no such write-off is permitted or possible if there are return dues or VAT audit report dues. That means if at all say return dues are pending, then that is not covered. I'll have to pay for as per the scheme if I want to take the benefit. Or audit report also recommended.
Thank you.
Please mute everybody. Yeah. so that the benefit is given only to the statutory order. And that too, the provision says statutory order as on 1/4/2022. So suppose in today's month, in April 22 or May 22, some order is passed and there is a liability of say 8,000 rupees. Even that is not to be written off. One will have to go by the amnesty provisions, annexure A or B, whatever it is there, and to comply with. Now let me take you through the annexure A. And we all now saw how annexure A will be seen. So here I made a table and column which is there as per the Act. The first one is the serial number, particulars. Then if you go for one-time option, then how much payable, how much waiver. If you go for installment, how much payable, how much waiver. But for installment, the primary condition is the arrears should be more than 50 lakhs rupees. That means the installment option cannot be availed by any person if his liability is up to lesser than 50 lakhs, say 49 lakhs or so. Such person will have to arrange the funds and pay prior to September upfront, whatever is amount payable as per the scheme. So one way the government thought that, okay, big person needs installment, but in my view, a person having lakhs of rupees turnover may have a problem of even making payment of 10-20 lakhs. He will have that problem. And a person who has 10-20 crore liability is also having problem of say 1 or 2 crore making payments. So I think government should consider that this option should be given even to a small person having lesser liability even than 50 lakhs. Anyway, this is a point of representation. Whether it will be heard or not, we do not know. So let me now take you through annexure A, that if any arrears are there up to March 2000 and April 5 to June 17, correct? So MVAT law regime, and we will call prior to MVAT March 2005, prior to that. So annexure A says that undisputed tax, one will have to pay 100%, no waiver either for option or one-time option. Second, disputed tax for one-time payment option is 50% payable, 50% waived off. So benefit is there of 50%. But for more than 50 lakhs rupees installment option, he will have to pay 56% and 44 is waiver. And this 6% extra what is taken from him is nothing but indirectly the the interest portion added to his liability because the government is giving the installment option to him. So installment is not free, it is at a cost of 6%. Interest payable as per the statutory order or return or revised return. So this particular any interest liability, one will have to pay at 15% and 85% is waived off. So a very good benefit for both the options, OTP option as well as installment option. Penalty outstanding as per any statutory order, you pay just 5%, 95% is the relief. Now what else you can expect from the government? I think the best scheme, one should take benefit. I say that a positive step has been taken by the government, and the assessee also should take advantage of it and get rid of the litigation, get rid of the liability. The next one, penalty means penalty outstanding as per statutory order. It does not say self-determination covered or not. So here there is a representation required that suppose in my case, audit report was filed late. I'm giving an example. And I know that when I file my audit report late, I am liable to pay a penalty at 0.1% of my turnover of sales. And in such a scenario, if I can work out my penalty for late filing of the audit report, and I can work out and I can pay, but the wordings are saying Penalty as per statutory order, it does not show levied or leviable. So maybe I think representation should be made that if somebody wants to come forward, he should also be considered and benefit should be granted. But as per the scheme, there is no such clear-cut provision for that, which otherwise was there in the earlier 2019 scheme. One was able to work out on his own and make the payment as per the scheme, say penalty 5%, 95% waived. Post-assessment interest and penalty, which is leviable but not levied till the date of application, is 0. That means if you go for the scheme, assessment order was there, passed prior to 4-5 years, you filed appeal or you have not filed appeal. Yet the interest burden is going on, and in such a scenario, the post-assessment interest, say the period is earlier year, say 12-13, assessment happened in 2016-17, and today I am going for the scheme. Whatever post-assessment interest may be there, but it will be also eligible 100% waiver, not to pay anything. Late fees payable in respect of returns filed up to March 22, 5% payable, 95% waiver benefit in both the options. Another benefit is the 7th serial number says where the amount of arrears as per the statutory order is up to 10 lakh rupees. Then applicant may opt for lump sum payment 20% instead of paying requisite sum as a loan. That means if some person is liable up to 10 lakhs rupees, total liability, arrears is up to 10 lakhs rupees, including tax, interest, penalty, whatever it is, he has not to then work out as per the undisputed, disputed and everything. He can go for straight 20% payment. This is really beneficial. I've taken an example on this, which we'll be seeing into that case study. The next one is Annexure B, which is for any liability for the periods up to March 2005, say under the BST law or works contract. Now here, undisputed tax, full payment required, no benefit for that. Disputed tax 30%. Earlier Annexure A said 50%. Now here I am asked to pay 30%. So again for the 20% extra benefit. So 70% waiver, 30%. So same way, installment option, he will pay 4% extra instead of 30, he'll pay 34%, balance will be waived off. Then comes interest, I have to pay 10%, 90% benefit. Annexure A says 15%, 85% benefit. So here also 5% more benefit given on interest liability areas. Penalty, same 5, 95 benefit. Then self-determination, the same problem. Post-assessment, again, entirely 0, 100% waiver is there. Late fees not leviable because prior to that BST law and all that, no late fees and provisions were there. So it is not applicable. But suppose somewhere the late fee has been there, then also one may go for that benefit and all that. But it was not there, so not to worry. Here also it says if up to 10 lakh rupees, just pay 20%, 80% is waived off, it's your benefit. So find how it is to be worked out. We will see in an example. So here is the case study number 1. Now this case study says, I've taken an example at up to 10 lakh rupees, how it works out. So I've taken here in Annexure A, if my liability is for 2005 to 17, and in this second part, I have said Annexure B, liability up to March 5. So the first undisputed tax, if it is say 1 lakh arrears, I have to pay 100%, no benefit here in both the periods. So I'll have to pay 1 lakh rupees. Disputed tax, 7 lakh rupees is there, suppose. So of that 70, for the second part of the periods, I'll be paying 50%, so 3,50,000, and benefit is 3.5 lakhs. Here I'll pay 30%, so 2,10,000, and I'll be saving 4,90,000. Then comes interest, 1 lakh rupees I am assuming. So here 15,000 I have to pay, In the earlier period, I have to pay 10,000 and balance is the benefit. Penalty 60,000, I have to pay 5%, so 3,000 rupees. Balance is benefit 57, both the periods the same. Late fees, say 10,000 was their late fee and 5% I'll pay 500 rupees. Here there is no question. So finally against 9,70,000, if I work out my liability as per the annexure, it comes to 4,68,500 you pay, 5,01,500 is the benefit. And in the prior to March 2005, I have to pay 3,23,000 and the waiver is 6,30,000. The next option says if the areas are up to 10 lakh rupees, and this is the very much covered my example. So the liability is 9,70,000 lesser than 10 lakhs. In such a scenario, the provision says you straight away work out 20%, which comes to 9,70,000 into 20%, 1,94,000. So I have to pay simply 1,94,000 under both the periods. 776 is waived off. So one can understand that if you go by the annexure, you are paying higher sum. If you go by the lump sum payment 20%, you are benefited very huge. So definitely one should go for. In last line, I have worked out the waiver benefit percentage also. So here it is 80% benefit as evident from the example. Let me take you through a next case study where arrears are more than 50 lakhs rupees. How the government grants this benefit of the scheme and how much requisite sum will be payable. So here I've taken an example for the MVAT regime of 2005 to 2017. You can same way work out for the earlier also. So here I have said, if I am having arrears, I have divided the arrears in the same way. And here I have taken one example that one-time payment option, whatever I have to pay percentage, this amount, this is the waiver, and this is the waiver payable. Same way in installment, because this is more than 50 lakhs, I can definitely go for this. So how much I'll have to pay and how much I'll be waived off, how I have to pay. So let us see first line. The undisputed tax, I have just assumed that it is 1,23,456. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just wrote the number. So this I have to pay 100%. So undisputed tax, no benefit, 100% payable. So I am working out 100% payable, 1,23,000 in both the options. The second one is the disputed sum. Now disputed sum I've just worked out at say 2 crore 6 lakhs rupees, 89,000 so on. So here I am one time option, I have to pay 50%. So it comes to 1,03,000, 1 crore 3 lakhs, and balance is 50% waived off. In this option of installment payment, I'll be paying 56%. So instead of 1 crore 3 lakhs, I'll be paying 1 crore 15 lakhs and odd, balance will be waived. Interest, I'll be paying 15%, both the options, no change. Penalty 15,000, 5%, and late fees also same, no change at all. So in the one-time option, against 2 crore 24 lakhs, if I pay 1 crore 6 lakhs, then I'll be waived off 1 crore 17 lakhs. And this 1 crore 6 lakhs, I have to pay as OTP option one-time payment. Prior to September, I can pay 1 crore and balance will be waived off fully. So here, one-time option, you can pay this 1 crore. Suppose today I think that I want to go for one-time option. I don't want to pay even 6% more to the government. In the such scenario, I can plan my affairs in such a manner that April to September I have to make the payment. So divided by 6 installments, I can make it. Every month I save say 15, 16 lakhs rupees. In September second, third week, I pay 1 crore 6 lakhs. I am getting rid of my liability of 1 crore 17 lakhs. If I cannot arrange for the fund, the finer aspect is here I pay first up to September 25%, which comes to 29,80,000. of 1 crore 19 lakhs. So 1 crore 90 lakh, 25% I have to pay first installment prior to September. Then I have to pay next installment in the next quarter, 25%. Again 29 lakhs prior to December, next 29 lakhs prior to March, and last 29 lakhs 80,000 prior to June 23. And I am getting rid of. So I'm making some extra sum, but at least I am now getting rid of my liability in installment. A very good scheme given by the government. Let me take you through another case study. Very important. I just thought of that if there is any statutory order and there may be some part payments and all that, how taken care of, appeals were there and what and all that. So in this, this is a problem given, and here is a solution to that problem. So let me take you through the solution to the problem. This example says the liability in this scenario I have thought of is of the period 2001 to. So it was prior to MBET regime. I have taken example, and I thought that, okay, in this particular order of 2001 to, I was either in appeal or not. I have taken here the assumption that this particular assessee's case, the statutory order of assessment was passed on, say, in March 2005. Then he filed first appeal. It was rejected or no relief granted in first appeal. Then now he is before the tribunal. And the dues are like this. So I have taken in the first column the nature of dues, the reasons for additional dues, this column. Then under the Bombay Sales Tax order, what were the dues amount? Under the Central Sales Tax order, what were the dues amount? And those tax liabilities for various reasons are their interest is also liability there. Penalty were also levied. There was a search happened in this particular case, and the penalty of 10 lakhs rupees in BST and 3 lakhs in CST was levied. And finally, this order is speaking of 39 lakh rupees dues, and CST order is 23 lakhs rupees dues. To this particular liability, I had made some part payment in first appeal 3 lakh rupees, second appeal 1 lakh rupees. CST also part payment 2 lakh rupees or 1 lakh rupees. Or you can also assume that there were some payments made, challans were there, but unfortunately the assessee could not produce prior to assessment and that credit was not given. But now today he has an evidence of the payments made of which he is eligible to take the credit. There is no time limit under the law to get the credit of any sum paid. Anytime he can claim. There is no bar for the credit. So if he produces that, yes, this challan which was there, not credit granted, and I am now producing, so credit granted. So finally, against 39 lakhs liability, I am now having arrears of 35 lakh rupees of BST, 20 lakhs rupees of CST. Now, what is the requisite sum payable? Let us work out and see each line item by line item. See, where needed, I am devoting much time in explanation. Where not needed, where the paras are there, how to go for appeal and procedural, one can read and understand. You are an elite class of the practitioners. So I take it in this way. Where needed, I'm giving detailed explanation. Where not needed, one can read the scheme. One can read the user manual and one can read the instructions and FAQ issued by the commissioner. Well, now let me take you through first type of dues. Certain tax on certain sale invoices which were missed while filing the returns or difference in taxable turnover, right? So it was noticed by the assessing officer and now he levied the tax of 1 lakh rupees. CST, there was no such problem. Now here, is it a undisputed or disputed? Apparently seems that it may be disputed, but you notice that the wordings are certain sale invoices which were missed out. That means when I was issuing sale bill, definitely I know that I am liable to tax. I must have collected the tax. So here is a example taken of tax collection. So undisputed, this 1 lakh rupees I'll pay 100%, no waiver, 1 lakh I have to pay under the, please, I mean, just read MVAT as a BST order. I was making example for even MVAT. So here you read this as a BST law and not the MVAT. CST is CST. So 1 lakh I'll be paying as BST. Come the next. In the assessment, tax on sale of old motor car, furniture for which invoices were not raised. And when a seller does not raise invoice, maybe that he was not aware that he is liable, or maybe he has not raised invoice, he has not collected tax. The question of deduction also does not arise. So this 2 lakh rupees, I have assumed this is nothing but disputed tax. 30% I am eligible. Why 30%? Because I have to follow annexure B, and the period is prior to 2005. So 30%. So 60,000 I'll have to pay. The third liability type of arrear is tax due to error in classification, payment of wrong rate of tax. I paid the tax at say 8%, 10%, but the assessing officer said, no, your product or the goods fall in the schedule so and so, and you are liable to pay 12%, 15%, and so on. In such a scenario, the dispute arises. So he levied 3 lakhs rupees as tax for this nature for BST, and it is a disputed tax. I'll have to pay 30%, so 90,000 rupees if I want to go for the benefit of the scheme. Fourth one is tax on disallowance of high C sales. Now, high C sales were there, and it was disallowed for any reason. Maybe legal law I am not complying with, section 5(1) or 5(2) of the CST Act, or maybe that my documents are not there. I'm unable to justify my claim before the assessing officer as well as the appellate officer. I'm now before the tribunal, but I don't want to now wait. I want to take benefit of the scheme. So in this scenario, the assessing officer charged 4 lakh rupees as tax because those sales were local sales in Maharashtra. So he levied 4 lakhs, and certain sales of this high seas nature were to my interstate customers, interstate buyers. So CST is applicable, charged at 5 lakh rupees. Again, entire is disputed tax. I have disputed in appeal also. So 30% of that comes to 1,20,000 and 1,50,000 in CST. The next one is additional tax on CST declaration forms not produced or produced defective and so on. 6 lakhs rupees is the CST liability, of which 30% comes to 1,80,000 rupees. Then comes the next one is set off disallowed on bogus purchases, right? So here 7 lakh rupees I have assumed, disputed 30% I have to pay, requisite sum 2,10,000, balance is waived off. So finally, again 17 lakhs as my tax under the BST and 11 lakhs in CST, I am now working to pay 5,80,000 in BST and 3 lakhs and 30,000 in CST. Now comes the adjustment what we discussed in section 6.2 for the payments made prior to March 22. So sorry, this is let me work out my further liability and then I'll take the benefit of the adjustment of payments. Interest on taxes paid late with returns or so, 2 lakhs and 1 lakh. Here I have to pay 10%. So I work out 10%, 20 and 10,000 rupees. Interest on differential tax dues on assessment, right? So here 10 lakhs was levied, 8 lakhs was levied. So here of 10%, 1 lakh and 80,000 in the CST. The next one is search was there, penalty was levied. Of this 10 lakhs, I'll now pay only 5%, 50,000, balance is waived off, 30,000 in CST, balance is. Now here one important question arises. Whether interest payable from order date of December 20 or say up to the date of the payment, because now I'm making payment today, there were some tax dues. Is interest applicable? This interest is there only up to the date of those orders. So the amnesty scheme law says no, post assessment interest and penalty is fully waived off and you have not to pay a single rupee. So here I'm not working out, I'm not making any payment. Finally, against 39 lakhs rupees BST liability, I had already paid as say no credit granted for some challan or for first part payment 3 lakh, second part payment 1 lakh. So 35 lakh rupees were the net arrears. Here 20 lakhs. So whatever this 4 lakhs and 3 lakhs I've paid, I will take deduction here of the payment made prior to March 22. So this payment comes 4 lakh here and this 3 lakh comes to CST here. So finally taking deductions, the tax comes out to payable this much, interest this much. So if I pay 3,50,000 in BST and 1,35,000 in CST, so I'll be getting waiver of 31 lakhs and 18 lakhs, which comes to almost 90% and 93%. So friends, you can understand the maximum benefit granted. So you'll be also having no problem of continuing the litigation, and one can go for. Having understood this, let me now take you through entry tax, that how you will take benefit. Annexure A and B, you have not to follow for the tax. It says requisite sum payable, whichever is lesser of the following. So entry tax for other goods, air conditioner, tiles, and so on, not for motor vehicle. Motor vehicle, we have to work out as per annexure A and B. But this says amount of entry tax determined in a statutory order. So entry tax order was passed and the demand is of say 100 rupees. Second amount you have to compare is amount of entry tax reduced as per set of retention under Rule 53 and 54. So there were some provisions for restricting the input tax credit. So if the restriction was there, say as per that 53, 54, the levy was of 100 rupees as per that order, but the restriction was there of say 40 rupees. Then lesser of this two is only my liability. So 40 rupees becomes my requisite sum payable as tax. So this says requisite sum paid before the specified date, that is at September 22, or if it is more than that 50 lakh rupees, you can go for installment also. Balance will be waived. And this is a condition that you are not entitled for claiming set off of any amount paid as per the then rules also. So this is one of the, because now you're going for the amnesty benefit. So far as interest and penalty is concerned, under the entry tax law, as per the statutory order, you'll have to again go back to the annexure A or B, and depending upon the option you choose, you go apply for the percentage of requisite sum payable, balance will be waived off. So this is the some provisions of section 8 and 9 comparable, except the tax element, disputed, undisputed, it is separately worded and separately provided for. Okay, now let me take you through some procedural aspects of and some conditions of the benefit taken. I am aware that now we have in our hand 25 minutes. I'll try to conclude in 15 minutes, so that 10 minutes will be available for any question which is there in the mind of our listeners, and whatever questions are there for me or Patil sir, we'll try to resolve that. Well, the first part which now I'm taking you through is that what is the duration of the scheme. So the duration of the payment of requisite sum is, and submission of application is, that you have to make the payment. If you are going for option 1, then this follows. So option 1 says one-time payment, correct? So it says you have to make the payment up to September 22. April to September 22, you have to make. You can make payment in installment also and keep a record and then apply when your installments are over in your way up to September. So the duration of application to be submitted is 14th October. So very much government has understood that once you pay up to September, that means you have already in real sense complied with the scheme. But for making the application, you need some more time, paperwork, filing online, and having some procedural and everything, so that you are given 14 days extra for making application. Both this you have to satisfy then your balance will be waived as we discussed. If you have followed the installment option for areas of more than 50 lakhs rupees, then 25% payable up to September. And if you pay 20% up to September, then you are not complying with conditions fully of the scheme, right? So what will happen, we will see, but at least you are out of the entire full benefit. But suppose you pay 25% and remaining amount in 3 equal quarterly installments from the date of application. So mind well, it is from the date of application. That means suppose you make the payment, and if you apply immediately, suppose this person made the payment in say April and he applied in May, then from the date of application he has to calculate 3 quarterly installments. He will not get up to the after September 3 quarters. Mind well, the scheme is very peculiarly worded. So remaining 3 equal installments to be worked out from the date of application. I feel let Commissioner also give some examples in his circular, which will be coming out for the ease of understanding of the taxpayers. All installments shall be paid within 9 months from the date of application. So this is also second condition, that at least from the date of application by this installment option seeker, 9 months within which he has to make the payment. So here I have said the last date is 13th July 23. How? Because he is eligible to pay quarterly. So the last quarter will happen on 30th June 23, which we saw in that example. And then you get more 13 days for application. So I am saying 13th July. In such a scenario, he'll have to, but he has to see, calculate the dates exactly from the date of application. The first proviso says, per chance, you're observing all the outer limits, but in between, say the second, third installment you paid late, then the scheme also has some relief for you, that totally you're not out of the scheme, but at least let you pay interest at 12% for the delayed payment of the quarterly installment. Say you delayed by 1 month, 12% is for entire per annum. So 1 month delayed, 1% you pay extra, you are again back to the coverage of the scheme in its entirety. Second proviso says, if all the installments are not paid within 9 months, that means finally you are breaking this condition. Important. That means finally you are not paying all the installments up to say June 23. In such a scenario, say you paid some amount, fine, no problem, you will not be the full loser. But suppose you had to make the payment, in which in example our we saw that if he makes the payment of 1 crore 15 lakhs rupees, but he could make the payment of only 80 lakhs rupees. Suppose first 2-3 installment he paid, now fourth installment he has no money, he doesn't pay, total 80 lakhs rupees or 90 lakh rupees paid. So balance sum, how now to calculate proportionate benefit must be granted. So very good aspect that you will not lose entirely, proportionate benefit will be granted. How? We will see in subsequent slide. So application is to be submitted by both the person in prior to 14th October 22. Mind well, even installment seeker, the application has to be made prior to October 22. That means he will pay 25% up to September, make an application. In that, he will say that balance 3 equal installment I will be paying, and then he will comply with. If he does not pay, proportionate benefit he will be granted, but at least he has to apply before 14th October. If somebody misses the payment option date, problem. If he misses application, what to do, we will see that. Now, let me take you through first the consequence of short payments. Say you had to make payment as per the sum, requisite sum you worked out 100 rupees, and you are now paying say 50, 60, 70, 80 short payment. How it will be done? So this answer is given in section 8687, which says rejection will not happen. No rejection of application merely for short payment, right? Good provision. proportionate waiver shall be calculated and allowed by the designated authority under the option opted by the applicant. That means the officer is duty bound to calculate proportionately the benefit and grant it to the applicant. Sequence of adjustment of such payment, because now you are making short payment. So how to adjust that? So that also the answer is given in this provision. It says undisputed tax first to be knocked off because it has to be paid fully. So no waiver. Hence, such amount paid shall first be adjusted towards first disputed, then balance towards the proportionately. So after undisputed, the balance sum remains, you have to adjust proportionately. So whatever sum remains, say my 100 rupees was to be paid as requisite sum against my say 300 rupees arrears. Out of 100, I did not pay 100, but I paid 80 or 70. So this 70 first, say 40 is out undisputed. So 40 will be undisputed, adjusted, and balance 30 will be proportionately divided amongst the disputed tax, interest, and penalty. So it is an arithmetic, nothing else one can do. Another good aspect is who is eligible for the scheme. The law says, the act says, registered person as well as unregistered person, both eligible. Fine. That means if somebody is registered late after 2-3 years, so for unregistered period also is eligible, registered period also is eligible. Applicant means a person liable to pay, right? Say proprietary partnership, partner is liable. He can also, company, say directors personally not liable, but at least he desires to avail benefit. Yes, he can go for. Suppose I have purchased one running business, and now after purchasing that particular entire business, merger happened of that particular merged entity or the old business, there is some such liability. Now I am the person stepping into the shoes of that particular person, so liability continues. So I want to now take benefit, though I was not liable, but I now want to take benefit of this. So I will say that, okay, I am also eligible to apply for the scheme. Suppose somebody has taken over, say financial institutions has taken over some business and all that, even that can apply for the scheme a good way. Application for settlement can be made for areas for any state when disputed in appeal or not. That means even if you are not file appeal, you are eligible for. Applicants who had applied for the scheme for 95, there were many schemes were there. So if you had taken benefit under those schemes, yet you are eligible. It may happen that last time also I could pay partially. So I got proportionate benefit in 19 scheme. Again, my some liability is left out. Now I can take that liability and in 22 and take benefit of this. All conditions stated shall be complied with. This is important. Cases litigated by state also eligible for this. Now, this is here where some representation is needed, which you can please note down. This says that where the department has filed an appeal, right? What this implies, where the department has filed a reference or an appeal before the tribunal or court. So I was not objecting to any assessment, but department went into the court and so on against the order passed by the tribunal or so. So department is in appeal, and in that case, this provision says that such disputed demand also can be settled by the applicant. How? That means I have nothing to object, but the department has filed appeal against any order, and they have said that no, this much, this type of transaction, we will levy the tax. They have levied the tax. It is kept in abeyance, the recovery, and they have gone in appeal and so on. Or I have not gone in appeal, they have gone in appeal, and there are some demands. So this provision says, even of such, I am eligible to take benefit provided I make the payment, working out arrears and all that. That means I accept that liability of the government, obviously as a disputed tax, take 50% or 30% depending upon the period involved for which, and I can go for, and then whatever sum, requisite sum I work out and pay of disputed tax, interest, penalty, and I can take benefit of the scheme. That means the government says you can take this, but here they say neither refund. The last two lines are very important. Neither refund or adjustment of such amount paid can be claimed by the payer. That means suppose tomorrow government loses the appeal. Now order comes in your favor, but you have gone for amnesty. You cannot take refund. Same way, government will also not go for the recovery of the waived amount. That means suppose you have gone for the amnesty, but the appeal is continued. Later on, the order comes against the assessee in favor of the government, in favor of the department. In that scenario, the recovery also will not happen because you have already gone for the amnesty. The question lies here now, how to quantify. When government has filed an appeal, I am not aware of some issues, I am not aware of some working, how I will quantify, how I can go for the amnesty. Such clarification is needed to be asked to the commissioner, and he shall come out in the trade circular clarifying this. Appeal withdrawal will happen or not? The scheme says if I have gone in appeal, I want to take benefit of the scheme, I have to withdraw the appeal. But in this case, government has filed appeal. There is no reference of withdrawal of appeal. Whether such appeals will be withdrawn or not, no clear-cut guidelines. But they have said at least no recovery. So it gives indication that appeal will continue. And if appeal order will come, will operate, but no recovery and all that. But my question here is, suppose you worked out in your way, or you got some working from the department that here is 100 rupees involved and you can pay. I pay. And tomorrow, after the order goes against me and say 200 rupees is the liability, I have taken benefit thinking 100 rupees. Now, what about the balance 100 rupees? Whether that recovery can happen? No clarification. I think here needs some clarification in a very clear terms, how to quantify, how to take into account the any other future liability and so on. So this is very important. Vinod sir is there who may throw some light on this. Finally, let me take you through some conditions hurriedly and try to wind up my session. I have to withdraw the appeal. So this is a condition. If I filed appeal, I have to withdraw unconditionally, whether at whatever stage it is pending, tribunal, court or so, right? And fully withdraw. I cannot withdraw partially. Partial withdrawal was permitted in 2019, but 22 speaks of full withdrawal. So if you withdraw partially, you are not eligible for the scheme. Where excess set off or refund under the VAT was there and which was adjusted. So this second clause says, in my VAT order, there was some refund of say 2 lakh rupees. And I had adjusted against my CST liability. Now, for some reason, my ITC is disallowed. So I am in dues for VAT. I had adjusted that in CST. So again, I'm in dues for CST. So in such a scenario, I might have filed appeal in MVAT also as well as CST. Also, entry tax was in the same manner. So the law says, this particular scheme says, I have to withdraw all the appeals pertaining to this and then go for the benefit. Third one, appeal withdrawal, how you will convey to the government. It says, submit the acknowledgement of application of withdrawal of appeal and which will be treated as a sufficient. So not that I have to get the withdrawal order. If I get fine, if I don't get order, no need. Acknowledged copy of my application for withdrawal of appeal is sufficient evidence of withdrawal of appeal. Submit online the application of arrears, settlement of arrears along with challan of requisite sum, statutory order based on which you are going for acknowledgement of appeal, withdrawal, and so on. You go through this FAQ and user manual. The next one is separate application for each class of arrears. This is very important. Don't make mistake procedurally. Separate application for each financial year. So separate years, separate application. Returns arrears, you can go for single application or separate, but if it is pertaining to 1 year, single application is sufficient. Submit application to the authority in the form and prescribed online, attaching the challan of requisite sum, docs documents which are stated in application, say I'll just mention here, and submit application before the last date, 14th October, if payment of requisite sum is in time. Now, see, this is very important, that suppose you were delayed by some application, then it says if payment of requisite sum was in time, but application was delayed up to 30 days, then that can be condoned by the authority recording the reason. So if my delay, if I don't apply, so 14th October is the deadline, 30 days is say now 13th of November. So if I don't apply within 13th November or say 14th November, calculate exactly 30 days. In that scenario, my delay also cannot be condoned. Well, defect application. So say I applied and made some payment and all that, then some defect was found, short payment and all that. Then in that case, within 15 days, the officer will intimate to you the defect, and you can cure the further defect in 15 days. And in such a way, you can make the payment of shortfall. And payment after the due date is not permitted. That means if you pay after 30th September, it will not be treated as defect cured. So 30th September is the very important date for making the payment. Upon receipt of satisfactory compliance and in response to the notice, the designated authority will pass a settlement order as per the law. And if you fail to comply with the defect notice, then appropriate order, that means partial benefit or so, may also be granted, and the order will be passed accordingly. Finally, the order of settlement is also, this is for, yes. Just I'll try to conclude as early as possible. Just give me 3-4 minutes more. Yeah. This order of settlement is also possible for rectification of some apparent error. But of course, if something is to be going against the taxpayer, then hearing will be given, and then appropriate order will be passed. The timelines are also there, are mentioned in my notes. I'm not devoting time for that. Then review is also there in a peculiar circumstances. And if say getting the settlement order, I'm not satisfied that the officer has not rightly passed the order as per the scheme, then I can file an appeal before the deputy commissioner if the order is passed by his subordinate. If order is passed by DC, I appeal to JC or else to the additional commissioner. Appeal shall be filed within 60 days, no delay condonation. So mind well, if order comes and you are not satisfied, you can file appeal, but within 60 days, no delay condonation. Appellate authority will hear you, pass just and proper order, no second appeal. So only one appeal chance is given. Whether you can file writ before the High Court or Supreme Court, I do not know what will happen to that. Well, there is a bar on reopening. So once you go for the scheme and the waiver is happening, that means the government will not reopen any order which are concluded, and the matter will be setting it at rest. No reopening and all that, and fine. Revocation is also there, because this is the care taken by the government, that suppose something you suppressed, something you filed incorrect and false information and concealment of some particulars, and you took benefit, then revocation is there. But of course, this will be utilized by the commissioner in a very, very rare cases. And here also limitations are there, that up to 2 years is there from the date of order. Finally, this is very dangerous provision, section 16. It says no refund under the scheme. That means if I pay wrongly also, extra sum also, no refund. And in such a scenario, what will happen? I have just ad verbatim given this provision. It is in italics. Under no circumstances, the applicant shall be entitled to get the refund of any amount paid under this act. So what will happen to that? Correct? It will be treated as payment made under the relevant act. So either you will get some proportionate benefit, or that will be treated as payment against the arrears, and that will be given credit for. It will not be just going waste. There are powers of commissioners that to issue instructions and directions has been fit to carry out the purpose of this scheme, prescribe forms and manner of submission, government's power to do anything consistent with the Amnesty Act for removing any difficulties and all that. And this will be put up before the legislature. Here is the, I've just given some notes about how to pay, go ahead for the online payments, how to make and how to file an application online and all that. I think this you can read, and procedure, I do not want to, this is very important. I mean, you don't forget to click the button of the submit and all that. Otherwise, you thought that application submitted, so let their acknowledgement be generated and so on. So, well, last 1 or 2 point which I want to make is that when an auditor gave a recommendation for which I can go for the amnesty, if I've accepted, then it will be treated as undisputed tax. If I have not accepted, disputed tax and so on. But this particular submission of scheme was there only from 2013. So what happens to up to March 12? I think guidance needed how to go ahead in such a scenario. Otherwise, it will be again dispute under the amnesty scheme itself. So as I already mentioned that self working out of the penalty for audit report delayed, I think it should have also been considered. And as mentioned by Patil sir in beginning that almost all orders are passed under the erstwhile regime law of MVAT up to August 21. So I think no proceeding might be pending. And here also I mentioned here, section 23(2) and 3 also lays down the March, the time barring period. And it says that if the returns were filed in time, then the due date of passing the order was March 22, so which has already gone now. And if the returns were filed late, 1 more year is there, March 23. So yet orders can be passed. So if some such orders are pending, you can definitely request the authority to pass the order in your case. And if dues are there, you may then think of going for appeal or taking benefit of the amnesty. Any particular issue you feel further, write to, I feel, the nodal officer, JC or commissioner to get clarification. Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I've tried to explain the scheme in a simple manner, and whatever questions are there and whatever time permits, I request the office bearers of WIRC to take us through that. And thank you, Patil sir, for being present and also taking this scheme positively. Thank you. I'll now stop sharing my screen so that we can discuss some issues and questions, if at all are there. I have not gone through that, but let somebody read out. And the question is for Patil sir or for me. Please also say, specify that. Thank you, every one of you.
Thank you very much, sir. Members, if anybody is having any query, you can ask by putting it in the chat box. I will convey it to sir and we'll get resolved that queries. So I request everyone to either you can ask by unmuting yourself or you can put your query in the chat box. And first of all, there is query. Okay, this presentation we will share with every member of the branch.
Yes, I have already sent by email. You can send to everybody.
Yes, we will mail it as soon as possible. If anybody is having any query, then.
Sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
दीपक भाई, गुड इवनिंग. सोमानी बोल रहा हूँ.
Yeah, सोमानी जी, गुड इवनिंग.
हाँ सर, एक छोटी 2 क्वेरीज है.
बोलो.
क्या जैसे डिस्प्यूटेड का जो डेफिनेशन दिया है उसमें सिर्फ उन्होंने टैक्स वगैरह लिया है,
Yeah.
मतलब collection वगैरह मतलब whatever that we have declared in the 704,
Yes.
more or less, if we take as a thumb rule.
Yeah.
In works contractor cases, if there is a disallowance and amount is liability is there on account of 407, 408, either non-submission or default by the subcontractor. But further,
Yeah, your voice is gone, sir.
So Mani sir, your voice is not clear, audible.
matlab, there was a CAG query about the subcontractor deduction on net basis, which was worded in the act, but practically in works contractor there is no unless it is a it is a
Got it, sir.
composition.
I'll answer this question. I have understood.
And second thing,
Suppose-
set of disadvantages.
Let me answer one by one,
Whether
so
it
that, sir, let me answer this so that I don't forget the focus. Suppose a works contract I have executed for taken for 100 rupees, and say 30 rupees works contract I have given to subcontractor. So I undertake to repay my liability on 70 rupees and 30 rupees subcontractor says. Correct. So if my subcontractor does not either finally pay the tax, and I am again to make liable, and in such a scenario, say my subcontractor has not given me the forms and all that, in such a scenario, whatever I am liable for his portion also, it will be treated as undisputed tax. Sorry, it will be treated as disputed tax. Sorry. So this is a disputed tax and I will have to make the payment as per 30% or 50% as per the annexure applicable. Because I've gone in appeal also that, oh, I should be given credit for this. He should have paid the tax. Let the exchequer collect the tax from him. But ultimately, tax is not coming. In such a scenario, it will be treated as a disputed tax by me and I'll pay as per the percentage of the annexure applicable. Yeah.
One appeal is not filed.
Yet.
Even-
Appeal is not filed yet. In
Okay.
assessment, it is disallowed. So disallowed
Yes.
means it is liability coming to me, which was not there earlier. So disputed.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Your
Deepak.
second question.
Second question on account of the ongoing dispute of subcontractors going on, where the deduction has been taken on the subcontractor based on 407 and 408.
Okay.
And departmental query whether in that deduction is taken, whether it is including tax or excluding tax, because subcontractor deduction wording is worded as net, but in 704 or return we take the gross, and hence we take the deduction also on the gross basis.
Yeah. See, when
And there was a queries from the department, and it is still pending on the desk of the many officers.
okay.
Whether it is advisable to get it order and go for the amnesty, or government one side is coming with the amnesty scheme, and other side such disputes are going on. New disputes are going on.
Okay. Let me try to address this. See, the moment the subcontractor has not paid the taxes, though he was liable as per his confirmation and all that. So for that 30-40% deduction, now when I am taking on my shoulder the liability, the loss is the deduction is of the net and tax. So I'm taking the deduction of net or net with tax and all that. But the moment I am now undertaking to pay the tax of somebody else, in such a scenario, this amount will be definitely treated as a disputed tax, and you should work out of that entire sum. Say in that subcontract, you estimated, say that 26 rupees as net and 4 rupees as tax. Let's just taking an example. So in this scenario, 30 rupees was the deduction. So I would suggest that on 30 rupees, you work out the tax payable as per the scheme as the requisite sum and make the payment. Don't work out on 26 rupees. Your voice is not coming, sir. Sir, your
Right,
voice
right.
is not there.
It
Sir,
went on mute.
Yeah.
Deduction is the query, departmental query is deduction should get on net amount, but as all the contractors has taken the deduction on gross amount. Say
So what-
100 rupees from 100 rupees.
So sir,
whether-
what I say, of that gross deduction also tax element is there. So
Hmm.
for you, the gross amount is the problematic deduction. Correct? On that, whatever tax you work out, understand, whatever tax you work out, that tax you take on that gross amount, don't work out on the net amount. And of that gross sum, whatever tax you work out, of that tax sum, you then work out the percentage payable as per 30% or 50%, depending upon the period and annexure A or B.
Sir, 30 rupees deduction taken. Now department is saying 26 is the eligible deduction. So
Okay.
they are taking the 4 rupees are not deductible. On 4 rupees, I want to calculate tax or on entire 30.
Acha, you let me know, in your case, order is passed or not passed.
Order was passed. It was passed orders.
So assessment order is now disallowing 4 rupees, right?
Yes.
So on that 4, whatever tax element they have worked out, you treat that tax as disputed tax.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And
Thank
you
you,
work
sir.
out this. Sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Patil sir can add something if he feels so, sir.
So there are some queries in the chat box. I'm reading for you.
Yeah.
Is non-receipt of C form will be treated as disputed tax?
Obviously, because I was to get C form, now I'm not getting C form, and I have already, I'm settled with the extra liability, or I might have filed appeal also. So that is treated as a disputed tax.
Okay, thank you, sir. Second one is my assessment dues. If assessment dues are 25 lakhs and paid 16 lakhs before March 22, then the balance payable is below 10 lakhs. In this case, whether benefit of
Yeah,
this will be available.
of course, available.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Third one is if sales operation find out by AO in assessment, whether that will be disputed or undisputed tax liability.
Okay. Now he has found out the suppression, right?
Yes.
Have you raised any sale bill? Have you raised any sale bill for this?
Mr. Dilip.
Yeah, sale bills are raised, sir.
Huh. So if sale bill is raised, in that sale bill, tax element is shown.
No, returns are not filed.
No. In sale bill, tax element is shown.
Yes, absolutely.
So then it is a undisputed sum. You have to
Actually,
pay.
sale bills are issued and credit taken by customer.
Yeah. So this
On that
becomes,
basis, yeah.
right, sir, I got it. So Dilip, this becomes the undisputed sum and I'll have to pay fully.
Okay.
I will like
Only
Yes,
tax
sir.
need to pay, na?
Yeah, Patil, sir. Yes, say.
even if suppose tax is not collected and he was supposed to collect it, then also it will be undisputed dues.
Sir, here I have some different view that the scheme clearly says so. The scheme does not say that liable for. The scheme says if you have collected or taken a tax deduction. So in my view, this will be, if not collected at all, then it will be treated as a disputed tax. At least this is my personal view, sir.
I will defer it. Actually, you may raise the query also. So
Yeah,
that you can
maybe,
get the
maybe.
clarification,
I think
because we
let
have
the-
also addressed the issue of the deduction in 57 also for that
Okay,
case.
fine. So, sir, let us receive some clarification from the commissioner's office and let some representations also be there. Let there be some dialogue and then let us have some clarification on this.
Yes, can I go ahead?
Yeah. Yes.
So my query is regarding profession tax.
Yeah.
So I have deducted the profession tax from the salary.
Yeah.
But I have not filed the return because I am not holding the registration number.
Okay.
So am I eligible as an disputed because this it talks about tax deducted by the registered holder and I am not registered. So can I now get registration and pay the tax which I have deducted? No assessment, nothing has been done.
I think let Patil sir answer this.
See, if you have collected it, you can't keep it with you. You have to pay it. For interest, you may get the benefit.
So for interest, the benefit will be only up to 30th June 2017, or it will extend to March 22.
Of course, full period, March. will be
Full
there.
period, until you pay it.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
you can work out accordingly.
Sir, one
Yeah.
more query is there.
Yes,
If-
sir.
If a person has opted for a deferral scheme 1993, assessment completed and installments are determined, but no deferral installments are paid. Effect of amnesty in this case for principal and interest.
I think Patil sir will be the right person to answer this.
See, deferral dues are definitely undisputed dues. It was tax collected to be paid. And one thing I would like to make clear, there is no dispute about the undisputed or dispute of interest, penalty and late fee. So definitely we'll get the benefit in case of interest, and these installments he will have to pay as an undisputed tax.
Okay. One more. In case of liquor dealer, is the amnesty also available for financial year 17-18?
Up
No,
to 30th June.
This is only up to June 17.
Okay. One more query is there, whether undisputed assessment orders with installments of BST department can consider as statutory order and can be the dealer take benefit of the scheme. Okay, same query is there. Whether undisputed assessment orders with the installment of BST deferment can considered as statutory order and can the dealer take benefit of the scheme.
What exactly the query you said?
Same query, sir. The query.
I think, yeah, repeated.
It is already addressed.
Patil sir has already addressed this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then members, I'm requesting once again, if anybody is having any query, you can ask directly by unmuting yourself, or you can put it in a chat box, or if there are queries, we will conclude this session.
I have one query.
Yes, sir.
For 50 lakh for installment amount, whether total payable amount after considering amnesty benefit or total outstanding amount should be considered.
Arrears of 50 lakhs rupees.
That means tax, interest, penalty.
Everything. So if arrears are up to 49 point whatever, then you can then go for the scheme and take the benefit. And this is per order it is. Per financial year, per order it is.
One more query. In case of sales suppression, you have told that it is covered under undisputed tax. But can we get benefit of 20% for that? Liability is below 10 lakh.
Yeah.
Yes. For up to dues up to 10 lakhs, you need not have to worry about the disputed, undisputed, anything.
Okay.
If your liability is below 10 lakh, pay the 20% and forget it.
Okay.
Only for your benefit, I will say, if suppose 10 lakh is interest, then don't go for the 20% scheme. You can clear it by paying the 5%.
Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, as regard to the reference or appeal file in the courts or tribunal, no?
Sir.
What I say this, suppose there is any matter pending in the High Court, department has gone in a VAT appeal, or either department has filed a reference in a tribunal, whatever may the case may be.
Right, sir. Yes.
If suppose department has gone in VAT appeal for the amount of 1 lakh rupees, and if we consider that as a disputed, and if dealer is accepted, okay, that is disputed, and I am going for the amnesty scheme, then I think means that that shall be the meaning of the provision.
Okay.
If dealer is of the opinion that on that 1 lakh, I will consider it as a arrears, pay the requisite amount and take the benefit, then department will withdraw that appeal.
Acha, acha.
I think
Okay,
that is the
okay.
essence of the provision. Actually.
Fine. So, sir, I think some clarification on this aspect is there
Yes,
by the commissioner
I
in
think we shall
circular
wait
to
for the
come.
circular.
So
They will
maybe
cover.
that's a, sir, my thing worry was about quantification and all that. So if you give some 2-3 examples and then give some such clarification, it will be helpful to the assessees.
Okay, I will also raise the issue. You also raise the issue.
Okay,
If any FAQs are coming, then it will be covered.
Right, sir. Right.
Yes.
Sir, one more query is there.
Yeah.
Provision tax dues after July 17, whether available for amnesty?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think.
Thank you, sir. Thank you being with us for 2 hours and whatever clarifications you have given. Really thankful to you. And any representations comes to you, please take it forward to the Honorable Commissioner.
Actually, I should be thankful because you have addressed the people of Nasik, which I was supposed to address.
Oh, sir, thank you, thank you. My pleasure, sir. Thank you. Yeah, the office bearers can take the charge.
Yes, yes. So now we are moving towards the formal vote of thanks. I thank both the speakers, Patil sir and Thakkar sir, on behalf of Nasik and Dhule branch for your valuable guidance, this will be very helpful for all of us getting benefit of this amenity scheme. I thank you very much. I also thank all the participants for their patient hearing. Thank you all. With this, we conclude this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Patil sir.
Thank you.
And thank you all participants.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thank you very much.